I would never actually do this, like ever. But I think it's really important for people to see how words actually affect people, because it's really fucked up.
Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney broke down in tears on an emotional live stream.
Reynolds confessing to Blake Lively being his beard was definitely not on my bingo card.
Have you ever wondered what really happens when a Hollywood star accidentally discovers something they were never meant to know? In an industry built on carefully constructed images, one wrong move can change everything overnight. That's exactly what happened to Sydney Sweeney, an actress whose career was soaring until a single flight changed everything. She wasn't trying to cause drama. She didn't leak stories or run to the press. She simply happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and what she overheard cost her everything she'd worked for. April 15th, 2025 should have been remembered as the pinnacle of Sydney Sweeney's career transformation. The glass chapel panel in Paris had been nothing short of triumphant, a watershed moment where critics finally began treating her as a serious dramatic actress rather than just another pretty face. Netflix executives were buzzing with excitement. Reynolds was celebrating what critics called his most mature performance to date. The film was positioned to be a career-defining project for both stars, with Sydney finally breaking free from being typecast after her Euphoria success. Industry insiders noted how she commanded the room during press interviews, displaying a depth and intelligence that had journalists rethinking their previous perceptions. Fashion magazines praised her sophisticated style evolution. Directors who had previously overlooked her were suddenly showing interest. For a brief, shining moment, Sydney Sweeney had arrived exactly where she had been working toward for years. Everything was falling perfectly into place until it wasn't. The turning point came during what should have been a routine flight back to New York. Exhausted but elated, Sydney boarded first class, looking forward to returning home with new career momentum. 2 rows ahead sat Reynolds, her co-star and Hollywood heavyweight. What happened next would upend both their lives in ways neither could have anticipated. As the plane reached cruising altitude, Reynolds began a phone conversation, not in hushed tones or careful whispers, but with the casual confidence of someone who believes they're untouchable. "I was never her husband," he said clearly, not realizing who might be listening. "I was the image, a beard. There was a contract." In that moment, the carefully constructed mythology surrounding Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, Hollywood's supposedly perfect power couple, unraveled in real time. Sydney didn't gasp. She didn't pull out her phone to record. She didn't even acknowledge what she'd heard, but someone else noticed. Someone connected enough to understand the implications, someone who saw Sydney within earshot. And in Hollywood's ecosystem, simply knowing too much can make you dangerous. Not because of what you've said, but because of what you could say. The fallout didn't arrive with fanfare or public confrontation. It crept in silently, methodically. Sydney landed back in New York expecting to ride the wave of positive press. Instead, her phone went quiet. Email responses slowed, then stopped. Meetings were postponed indefinitely. Projects that had been enthusiastically greenlit suddenly required further development. By April 17th, just 2 days after her return, the pattern was undeniable. A Netflix legal thriller that had been halfway through casting with Sydney attached simply vanished from production schedules. No announcement, no explanation. Her name simply disappeared from the board, replaced by an actress deemed lower risk. When her agent pressed for answers, the response was clinically vague: creative shift. Industry code for a problem no one wanted to acknowledge openly. Then came the Dior campaign blow. Sydney had already completed photo shoots in full couture, with lighting, styling, and post-production well underway. The brand didn't formally cancel. That would have required explanation. They restructured, quietly removing her from all materials as if she had never been involved. A leaked internal Slack message from a Dior staffer revealed the disturbing directive: we're being asked to pull her visibility. Brand neutrality. No press follow-up. Without a single public accusation, without any evidence of wrongdoing, Sydney Sweeney was being systematically erased from projects she had already secured. The blacklisting wasn't declared. It was executed through whispers, through emails carefully worded to avoid creating a paper trail. In Hollywood's power circles, silence isn't just golden, it's weaponized. The Glass Chapel's New York premiere on April 19th should have been Sydney's redemption moment, a chance to showcase her work despite the strange career turbulence. She had prepared meticulously. Her dress was ready, her makeup team had flown in specifically, her stylist had blocked the entire afternoon. The studio car arrived at her apartment right on schedule, but what awaited her wasn't a press pass for a lead actress. It was a guest wristband, the kind given to minor cast members and industry observers. No interview scheduled, no red carpet walk, no photography. The message message couldn't have been clearer. Come through the side door, remain in the shadows, and disappear without drawing attention. When her team frantically contacted the studio, the excuses were painfully transparent. Logistics issues, schedule conflicts, media coverage, streamlining. Every explanation carefully constructed to avoid mentioning Sydney by name. The decision had clearly been made. She was to be excluded from her own film celebration. Sydney made the only dignified choice available. She didn't show up. The carefully selected dress remained unworn. The makeup team waited for a client who would never arrive. And Ryan Reynolds walked the red carpet alone, smiling in a custom Armani suit as cameras flashed. Every headline, every photo op, every interview, just him, as if Sydney had never been part of the project at all. Social media erupted immediately. "Where is Sydney Sweeney?" became the question no one in official channels would answer. "This isn't a scheduling conflict. This is an erasure," one viral tweet declared, gathering over 90,000 likes within hours. Fans began comparing promotional materials from just a week earlier, where Sydney had appeared prominently alongside Reynolds, with the new coverage that excluded her entirely. A leaked guest list confirmed what many suspected. Sydney hadn't been forgotten. She had been deliberately removed. When an assistant from her glam squad posted a now-deleted story, "Imagine perfecting a metallic sculpted look for 4 hours only for the lead actress to get ghosted by her own movie," the controversy only intensified. But still, Sydney remained silent, watching her career unravel for reasons no one would officially acknowledge. The morning after the premiere, Blake Lively launched what industry insiders recognized as a classic misdirection campaign. Her Instagram featured a perfectly edited high-resolution image showing Ryan at the Glass Chapel premiere, but this time with Blake at his side, immaculately styled and posed. The subtle manipulation worked brilliantly, except for one detail. Metadata from the photo confirmed it had been taken weeks earlier in Los Angeles, not at the New York event. The coordinated media blitz was immediate and overwhelming. 6 major entertainment outlets published nearly identical coverage within 4 hours. Blake supports Ryan at premiere night. Hollywood's power couple reunites. Lively returns to spotlight with Reynolds. Not a single headline mentioned Sydney Sweeney. Not a single article questioned Blake's presence at an event she didn't attend. The narrative was being actively rewritten in real time. While the studio publicly denied involvement in the photo's release, a leaked marketing storyboard revealed the truth. Blake's team had directly submitted the image to multiple outlets as official event coverage. The strategy wasn't just about protecting Blake and Ryan. It was about controlling the story before Sydney could tell hers. A Netflix marketing assistant later leaked an internal memo with a damning subject line, "She wasn't reduced, she was deleted." Attached was a casting log update with a chilling notation next to Sydney's name. Unresolved discretion risk. Instability confirmed through non-engagement pattern. In Hollywood's image-obsessed ecosystem, being labeled a risk is often a career, death sentence, especially when the label is applied by those with the power to enforce it. On April 23rd, Sydney joined what was described as a clarification call with her agent. What awaited her instead was an ambush. A Netflix legal advisor, a studio PR manager, and a representative from Blake Lively's public relations firm, all presenting a unified front. There were no pleasantries, no attempts at reconciliation, only a document. The terms were presented clinically, a single payment settlement labeled as a creative contribution clause for Glass Chapel. In exchange, Sydney would sign a non-disparagement agreement with an 18-month gag order. The restrictions were comprehensive: no public comments, no interviews, no references to the premiere, the flight, or Blake Lively. The message was clear: take the money, disappear quietly, and perhaps in a year and a half, you might be allowed back into the industry's good graces. For nearly a full minute, Sydney said nothing. Then she asked the only question that mattered. Did Blake send this? The representative from the PR firm didn't confirm, but her slight smile and tilted head spoke volumes. No one else in the meeting said a word. Sydney didn't argue. She didn't negotiate or counteroffer. She simply closed her laptop, ending the call without another word. Within 2 hours, the retaliation was swift and merciless. Her name was stripped from all Glass Chapel promotional materials. Her quotes were removed from press kits. Her interview slots were canceled. Her poster billing was withdrawn. Netflix's official Instagram deleted 3 posts featuring her image. The studio had made its decision. Sydney Sweeney was no longer part of the narrative. That night, a gossipy social media post appeared with suspicious timing. Heard a certain actress declined a peace clause this week. Not a great look when all you had to do was sign and smile. Minutes later, a verified comment appeared beneath it. Short lol. The account belonged to Blake Lively's stylist. Though quickly deleted, screenshots spread instantly. By morning, a new hashtag was trending, worldwide roar she didn't sign. Fans began methodically documenting Sydney's erasure, posting side-by-side comparisons of original promotional materials featuring her alongside Ryan, contrasted with the updated versions where she had vanished completely. No captions were needed. The visual evidence spoke for itself. On April 25th, a grainy photo appeared online showing Sydney Sweeney sitting across from Reese Witherspoon at Beverly Hills' exclusive Polo Lounge. No publicists, no assistants, just two actresses in what appeared to be an intense conversation. The significance wasn't lost on industry insiders. Reese Witherspoon had navigated similar waters before, having survived her own carefully orchestrated PR takedown a decade earlier after a failed project partnership with none other than Blake Lively. Within 24 hours, speculation hit every entertainment blog. The most consistent rumor, Apple TV Plus had entered early development on a limited series, with Nicole Kidman producing, Reese executive directing, and Sydney tentatively attached as the lead. Though no official confirmation emerged, 3 separate casting trackers flagged the project internally. A veteran PR strategist at a major agency described it as the Witherspoon pivot, quiet, calculated, and undeniably effective. It sent a clear message that Sydney might have been temporarily frozen out, but she wasn't without powerful allies. In Hollywood's complex power structure, today's exile can become tomorrow's comeback story with the right support system. Blake's team responded not with a direct statement, but with a cryptic social media post, a quote card over an artfully arranged photo of wine and sunflowers. Some people chase truth, others sell it. No direct mention of Sydney, no tags, but the subtext was unmistakable. The comments section quickly filled with the same 2 words: she didn't sign. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds faced his own emerging crisis. Reports surfaced that 2 key investors had quietly withdrawn from his next film project. Their stated reason remained private, but a leaked comment from an executive involved in the discussions revealed the troubling reality. There's a perception shift. The Sydney fallout is sticky in key markets. Ryan's usually active social media accounts went silent for 3 days. No promotional posts, no characteristic humor, nothing. When a fan account tagged him with screenshots of his old tweets alongside the caption, "Where's this energy now?" Blake Lively notably liked the comment. The united front was crumbling in public view. By April 29th, Glass Chapel had quietly slipped from Netflix's top 10, with the platform noticeably declining to push a second wave of promotion. No behind-the-scenes content, no director interviews, no final press push. Sydney's fan-created content was actually outperforming the studio's official materials, with one TikTok video gaining particular traction, a haunting piano score playing over a fade between Ryan walking the red carpet alone and an earlier promotional image showing Sydney beside him. The caption was devastatingly simple: "Look closer, they cut her out." It gained 3.4 million views in less than a day. The PR agency handling Blake's Netflix campaigns terminated their contract 2 days later, citing creative differences. Internally, a staff member shared their final communication: "We're done covering tracks. Let her do it herself." The carefully constructed narrative was unraveling thread by thread. After months of systematic erasure, being ghosted, flagged, blacklisted, and pushed aside without explanation, Sydney Sweeney finally reached her breaking point. In a bombshell announcement released through RTM, a network known for unfiltered celebrity interviews, Sydney confirmed she would be sitting down for a comprehensive tell-all that would cover everything: the flight, the premiere snub, the casting blacklist, and most significantly, the contract marriage she never intended to expose. Her official statement was powerful in its simplicity. "I stayed quiet because I thought silence would protect me. It didn't. It just protected them." According to RTM insiders, the interview would include names, exact timelines, and supporting documentation that Sydney had previously been too intimidated to share. This wasn't speculation or rumor. She was prepared to provide concrete evidence. Studios that had participated in erasing her suddenly scrambled to prepare statements. Blake Lively's team went radio silent. Ryan Reynolds offered no comment. The same industry machine that had so efficiently silenced Sydney now faced the prospect of her controlling the narrative. Hollywood has always been an industry built on illusion, carefully constructed images designed to sell fantasies to the public. But Sydney Sweeney's story reveals the darker machinery behind those illusions: the power plays, the blacklisting, the coordinated campaigns to protect certain narratives at the expense of others. What makes Sydney's situation so compelling isn't just the drama of celebrity conflict. It's the fundamental question of power. Who gets to control the story? Who decides which truths remain hidden and which are allowed into the light? For decades, the answer has been the same. Those with the most established influence, the deepest, Connections, the strongest PR machines. But as Sydney prepares to break her silence, she represents something potentially revolutionary, an individual standing against a system designed to protect itself at all costs. The industry that thought she would fold under pressure, take the money, and disappear, severely underestimated her resolve. She didn't just survive their silence, she's rewriting the script entirely. As her tell-all interview approaches, one thing becomes increasingly clear. In an age where audiences crave authenticity, the carefully constructed facades of Hollywood may finally be cracking. And Sydney Sweeney, once silenced for simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time, might just become the voice that changes how the entire system operates. Sometimes the most dangerous person isn't the one who seeks to expose the truth, it's the one who refuses to be silenced by the lie.